5 minutes before we open the meeting?
Yep,
Can we?
we can, if you guys want to do that now.
We heard there's a little bit of a special presentation.
There is.
Okay.
There is. I'll just stand up right here, right where I am. I think you can all see me here. My name's Martha Bankston, and I'm here tonight representing the estate of Amos W. Kimball. And a lot of you already know who Amos was. For those, how many don't know who Amos was? Okay. If you go up the road toward Dixmont and past where all the lower valley stuff is, you know, the farms and all that, come up and you see 4 big white houses with green shutters. Okay? That's the easiest way to describe it. The second one on the left, as you're going up, was where Amos lived. Okay? He'd been there with his family. If we start just the history of itself, but I could spend a whole evening just there. But let me tell you this much. What we've brought tonight are the town records that go back into the early 1800s. Now the reason I happen to have those is because of Amos. The man who was, throughout many years, town clerk. Hi. He was town clerk, he was first selectman, he was the treasurer of the town, and his name was Jabez Knowlton. And Jabez Knowlton was the one who built the little general store, the first store in the town of Newburgh. But let me back up one step. Newburgh became a town in 1819, February 15th of 1819. Okay?
February 15, 1819.
February 15th, 1819. However, that was when Maine was still part of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So Newburgh did not start out as a Maine town. It started out as a Massachusetts town. 1 year later, plus 1 month, 15th of March of the next year, it became the state of Maine. And then Maine was licensed under the state of Maine, and I'll just share this with you. An act to establish the town of Newburgh vested with all corporate powers and privileges, and shall also be subject to all duties and requisitions of other corporate towns according to the laws. And that's where it started, was 1820, when Maine became a state. Now, we've been here for a while. We started as Newburgh as a township, and it was spelled N-E-W-B-E-R-G. Okay? It wasn't until we became a state town that the name was changed to be U-R-G-H. So these are little tidbits of useless information that I find just so interesting. And there are a few that I'd like to share with you. The first town clerk was a gentleman by the name of Colonel Rufus Gilmore. Now if you go over on the other side of town, you'll find a place over there called Lily Pond, and it's Gilmore's Lily Pond.
Oh, yeah.
That's still there. There may still be Gilmores in town for all I know. I don't know about that. But he remained on that list for years. So did these names. See if any of them catch your fancy. Levi Mudgett. Ever heard of the Mudgett Road? Mm-hmm. Thomas Bickford and Ebenezer Bickford. And I want to come back to them later because Ebenezer Bickford's daughter married Jabez Knowlton. And thus began a situation that carried on for generations. We had John Chapman, John Croxford, Hezekiah Newcomb, Jeremiah Smith. Any Smiths in here? Yes. William Simpson, John Whitney, Stephen Levitt, not the one that's still living, but another one. A bunch of Whitcombs. And you can't get rid of them no matter what you do. You still got Whitcombs. And then, of course, all of the Knowltons. And they went on for a long, long time. The post office was in Jabez Knowlton's house, which is the house where I now live. and the little part that was the post office is still there. Now, the reason I'm in that house is because Amos was a great, however many greats, nephew of Jabez Knowlton, and that's all part of our family. And it just becomes so interesting to me. The building that we know as the old store was built in 1839, but there was a store before that. And I found out about this in the town records because in 1837, Jabez Knowlton was given the first liquor license for the town of Newburgh. The very first one. He was licensed to sell liquor in Newburgh at 1 pint per person at any one time, and not to be consumed in the store. At the same time, they gave a liquor license to his father-in-law, who was Ebenezer Bickford, and had the big white house right next door, big square one. That was the carriage stop. Jabez Knowlton owned the carriage line. And it was a carriage stop between Bangor and Augusta. On their way down, they stopped in Albion and spent the night in an inn. On their way back, they stopped in Newburgh at what I always grew up believing was the Bickford Inn, or the Bickford House. Turns out it was the Bickford Tavern. He was the other one that had the liquor license in the town, only he didn't have to restrict where they could drink it or how many they could have. That was the only difference. They got the license at the very same time. And as I said, Bickford's daughter married Jabez Knowlton. Bickford eventually, he was at one time first selectman. He was also town clerk. Jabez Knowlton one step farther. He was both of those, but he was also the town treasurer. And I just want to share one little thing, and it's the Aroostook War. Now, you wouldn't think that would have anything to do with Newburgh. The Aroostook War was when they fought over the line between Canada and up around the Madawaska area at Holton, all the way up through there. Canadians wanted a whole slice of that. And so we went to war. And we sent men, along with everybody else, we sent them from Newburgh. But this was the part that got me. How many selectmen do we have here tonight? Just 3. The Aroostook soldiers were told by the Newburgh selectmen that they may keep their blankets, which were furnished by the town, provided that they returned the knapsacks that they received, that the selectmen had bought. And with that, we will present you, or let Stephen do it, on behalf of the heirs of the Amos W. Kimball estate. Be careful with them, they're over 200 years old.
Book 1 and 2.
Book 1 and 2, original books of the town of